You ever get that feeling at work that there's this invisible force just draining your energy and your focus? It's not about working harder, right? It's all the meetings, the constant pings, the mental overload that just grinds productivity to a halt. Well, let's dive in and really uncover a calmer, more sustainable way to build great software. So first things first, we need to get a handle on just how big this problem really is. It's one thing to feel busy, but what is all that busyness actually costing us? In this first part, we're going to put some real hard numbers on that feeling of being stretched way too thin.
I want you to just picture your calendar for a second. Is it just a wall of back-to-back meetings? A block of Swiss cheese full of holes where you're supposed to get deep work done? If that sounds familiar, you should know it's not just annoying. It's a systemic barrier that stops us from solving the really tough problems.
Okay, let's put a price tag on that chaos. Industry analysis suggests that the hidden cost of context switching, jumping from task to task, meeting to code, email to chat, can cost a company up to $63,000, and that's not for a whole team. That's for one single developer over the course of a year. It is a staggering amount of waste.
And here's another number for you. 23 minutes. That's how long it takes, on average, to get back into a state of deep focus after you've been interrupted just once. That's according to research from UC Irvine. Now, think about your day. Every Slack notification, every tap on the shoulder, boom, that 23-minute clock resets. So what happens when you add it all up? The effect is, well, it's devastating. Some studies show that a knowledge worker's productive time can be slashed by as much as 40% because of all this context switching. Just think about that. We're operating at just over half our actual potential.
So why is this happening? Is it a personal failing, a lack of discipline? No, not at all. The truth is, there's a fundamental mismatch between how our brains are wired and how we've structured modern work. So let's dig into the science and see what's really going on up there. The key idea here is something called cognitive load theory. The easiest way to think about it is to picture your brain's working memory, the part you're using right now, as a computer's RAM. It's incredibly fast and powerful, but it is also very, very limited. And when you overload it with too many tabs open, performance just crashes. You make more mistakes, and real problem solving just grinds to a halt. But here's the thing. Not all cognitive load is bad. You've got intrinsic load, which is just the work being hard. That's unavoidable. Then you have germane load, which is the good stuff. That's when you're making new connections and really learning. But the real villain, the one we need to fight, is extraneous load. That's all the wasted mental energy you spend hunting for documentation or trying to understand confusing code. Our goal is to kill that extraneous load to free up our brain power for the work that actually matters.
All right, so we've diagnosed the problem, we understand the science behind it. Now for the important part, how do we fix it? Well, there's no single magic wand here, but there is a set of guiding principles that, together, create a framework for a much calmer, more human-centered way of working.
It all really boils down to 4 pillars. First, we have to fiercely protect long stretches of uninterrupted time for deep work. Second, we have to make our work visible and simple to reduce all that confusion. Third, we need to make asynchronous communication the default, not the exception. And finally, the one that holds it all together. We have to relentlessly foster psychological safety. Okay, principles are great, but what does this actually look like day to day? How do we turn these ideas into a workflow? What we need is a new cadence, a new rhythm for our work that replaces the chaos with a calm, predictable, and effective flow. The secret sauce is this 3-loop system. Way out on the strategic loop, you have a small group breaking down big initiatives. That then feeds the weekly loop, which is just one single, focused 90-minute refinement meeting. That meeting's only job is to create a steady stream of ready work for the team. And that makes the inner 2-week sprint loop run incredibly smooth. Sprint planning is no longer some stressful discovery session. It's just a calm, simple commitment meeting. Now let's talk about the ceremonies. A good stand-up? It's a quick, high-energy huddle where the team talks to each other to coordinate and clear blockers. A bad stand-up? It's a long, low-energy slog where everyone just reports their status up to a manager. One is about collaboration, the other is just about reporting. It's the exact same story with the sprint review. A bad one is just a boring list of tickets you finished. A great one tells a story. It's a showcase of the actual value you delivered to real users, all centered around the sprint goal. It should be an interactive conversation that gets you feedback, not a one-way demo that everyone tunes out. And then the retrospective. The value of this meeting comes down to one word: safety. In a good retro, it's safe to be honest. You can talk about what's really not working,
and you leave with 1 or 2 concrete actions to improve the system. A bad retro is just a complaint session with no action. Or worse, a room so quiet you can hear a pin drop because everyone's afraid to speak up. The goal is always to fix the system, never to blame the person.
But here's what I really want to drive home. You can have the most perfect, well-designed process in the world, and it will absolutely fail if it's built on a shaky cultural foundation. This goes way beyond just changing your meetings. It requires a fundamental shift in culture. And that foundation, it's called psychological safety. It's simply the shared belief that it's safe to take risks on this team. It's the feeling that you can say, I disagree, or I made a mistake, or even just, I don't know, without any fear of being punished or humiliated. It's the absolute bedrock of honest collaboration.
And just in case you think this is some fluffy, feel-good idea, let me tell you it's not. Google's massive study, Project Aristotle, found that psychological safety was the #1 most important predictor of a high-performing team. And the numbers back it up. Sales teams with high safety beat their targets by 17%. Teams without it, they missed their targets by 19%. This is a hard business metric.
So, I want to leave you with this one thought. Think of all those processes we talked about, the stand-ups, the retros, the planning, as applications. Psychological safety, that's the operating system. And you and I both know that without a stable OS, no application is going to run well for very long. So the question is, how healthy is your team's operating system?